All right. I know what you're thinking. What cold open, what kind of gimmick is Jake going to do this time? But we have Emily Johnson, founder of Minnesota Neurodivergent, on today's episode, and we're going to keep it super serious, right, Emily?
Very serious.
No gimmicks whatsoever.
None.
Absolutely just 100% business.
Absolutely none to the point.
Exactly.
Eggs and bacon, baby.
I'm so hungry for breakfast now.
Dude, I could very much so go for some breakfast right now.
Man, I had some Taco Bell breakfast burritos this morning. It was
Ooh, yeah, you're speaking my language. TBZ all day.
all right. Should we do this?
Let's do it.
You want to say it?
Yep, no gimmicks.
She didn't say it. Cue
I
the music.
said, I'm like, Jake, give me some cues.
All right, redo it. You want to
Okay.
say cue the music?
Cue the music.
Welcome to Don't Evolve Me, the place like Ash Ketchum's Pikachu. We don't evolve, we just level up. I'm here with Emily Johnson, founder of Minnesota Neurodivergent. Hello.
Howdy. Thank you for having me. I'm happy
Yeah.
to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm glad to finally have you on.
Of course.
All right, so moving on to the first segment. Show me your socks.
Ooh.
Or show me your wares.
So unfortunately, I don't have much for wears. I came straight from work, so I had to keep those in the closet. But I was able to put on some nice socks this morning. So
You want to describe your socks?
I sure will. So the socks that I'm wearing right now, everybody, are from the Harry Potter collection. I have my girl Luna Lovegood.
Nice.
Yep. So for those who don't know, she is in the Ravenclaw house like myself, and she is my spirit animal.
Hey, representing. I'm also Ravenclaw.
Nice.
I don't think I've ever mentioned that I'm Ravenclaw here.
No, I have never heard you mention that before. That's
I am
pretty cool.
Ravenclaw.
Makes sense. All the coolest people are Ravenclaw.
Exactly. Did the test and everything on what was it called? Harry Pottermore?
Pottermore. Yep.
Pottermore, yeah.
Yep.
And now it's a different name. I think it's like Harry Potter. Like I think it's officially Harry Potter now.
Oh, no way. I did not hear that.
Yeah, I went to like retake the test and like, oh, Pottermore is now this other website, but I'm not sure what it's called.
Huh, lame. It'll
But there's
always
like
be
an
Pottermore to me.
There's an actual app too that like you can take the test for like your actual wand and your
Patronus.
Patronus.
Yeah?
Yep, and
Yep.
then your animal. I'm not a huge Harry Potter person.
I think that's the Patronus. I think.
Yeah.
No, maybe not.
Your
I
wand
don't
and your
know.
Patronus.
Oh, okay. That makes
I
sense.
don't remember
yeah.
what my wand or I think my Patronus was a snake.
I promise I'm a Harry Potter guru. I'm just a little rusty.
It's been.
It's been a while. It's been a few years.
I've actually I want to re-up my like Harry Potter knowledge a little bit because I had a lot of requests for a Harry Potter episode.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
I have-
definitely tune into that.
I have to like rewatch all the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I mean, you got to keep it fresh. I
Exactly.
probably rewatch the Harry Potter movies at least every year, maybe every 2
Every
years
year?
or so. Yeah.
I've tried
it's
a couple.
good time.
I tried a couple years ago. I got the movie like through the third movie. The first two was just for me a kind of a drag. Like it's very nostalgic. I'm like, oh, I remember seeing this with my mom because she wanted me to get more into reading. She's like, hey, there's a Harry Potter series.
Yep.
She got the books. I never read the books. I didn't.
Yeah.
I was not a reader back then.
You know, it hits different when you're an adult too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's still magical, but as a kid, that shit was magical.
It was. Okay. Next segment. What are you nerding out to?
Ooh, so quite a few things right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll speak to the first one. So theater. So growing up, I was a huge theater buff, specifically musicals. So I like performing. I like being on stage. Love to sing and dance. Not good at uniform dance, so that's held me back in some situations.
What is uniform dance?
So dancing in sync with other dancers.
Oh, okay.
I
yeah.
like moving and grooving and doing my own thing. So that's that's held me back in the past. But no, I haven't been in a musical or production in 13 years. And I saw that a good friend of mine from high school was directing a musical, and it was my favorite musical, Rent.
Oh,
if
okay.
you've heard of it.
I heard of it.
Okay.
Don't know much about it.
Yeah, so it's great stuff. It takes place in New York in the 80s. It touches on the AIDS epidemic, drug use, and gay culture, as well as police brutality. So it covers a lot of
wow.
bases, and I love it. So when I saw that she was directing the musical, I just knew that I had to hop on. And so I auditioned for one of the lead roles, my favorite role, my girl Maureen.
Nice.
And I was casted as her understudy.
Nice. Okay.
So an understudy means that I have to learn her parts, and I would kind of be second up. So if anything were to happen
Yeah.
to the lady that was casted,
And-
then I would fill in.
And this is a lead, right?
And it's a lead, yep.
Nice.
But I was also casted as another role who does have some solos and her own lines.
Nice.
Alexi Darland, so I'm a reporter from Buzzline.
Nice.
And I'm very, very excited to play her part. It's going to be
Well,
good.
congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I've been super nerding out about
yeah.
that. Yeah.
When and where? When is it taking place?
Yeah, so kind of a cool story. I didn't know that the red carpet put on productions or
Oh.
hosted productions. And so it'll be at the carpet, so the red carpet downtown
In St. Cloud, Minnesota.
in St. Cloud, Minnesota. And we don't have the dates released yet for opening night, but they're thinking anytime mid to late June.
Okay,
With
awesome.
that. Yeah, so come find me.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
See, I know we were talking about this now, or we were going to talk about this later, but we might as well just talk about it now.
Let's do it.
So I've never really been in a theater production before.
Okay.
But it's one of those things that if I had to go back in time, if I had to go back in high school, I would totally be in the theater because
Yeah.
I like low key. I'm like, I wish I got into more acting.
Yeah. It's a good time every time.
So I was definitely more of like the sports jock, and I didn't want to like. I was more in the sports and never really like ventured into it, but I was always like curious about it. And I'm like, I wish I would have.
Yeah, got your feelers out there. Yeah,
Exactly.
It's very fun. It's theater's done a lot for me. It's really opened me up, I think, as a person. You know, putting yourself out there and performing for a crowd.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Maybe it is for some people, but I.
When was the last time you performed?
So the last time I would have performed, so the last time I would perform in a production or on stage in a play or a musical would have been back in maybe 2010. So
Oh,
about
okay.
13 years ago. But I've been in choir
Okay.
since I was a kid. Not in choir now, but I was in choir my freshman year of college. So that would have been 2012 to 2013.
Nice.
So yeah, it's been a good 10, 11 years for me.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, so I'm so happy to be back in it. It's a good time. And the theater culture is just so great. Everyone's so accepting, and
Yeah,
I got some cool cats.
the last production. I forget what the production was called. It was in St. Cloud. My friend Steven was in the production I went to, and it was a great, grand time. It was a blast. And one of the cool things I really liked about it, because once the production was over, you got to see the cast like intermingle with each other. You can see that it was like this cool like brotherhood, sisterhood type of thing between the cast members. I'm like, that was really cool to see. Also, just cool to see my friend just like, you know, happily living his dream.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, theater culture is super cool. Everybody is, everyone that I've encountered in theater has just been a great time.
Nice. All right. Anything else you're nerding on?
Yeah.
Shows, games.
Couple things. Yep. So games and show. So The Last of Us. Whew. Baby. So I
am down to talk Last of Us all the time.
good. Good.
I got, try to review it every episode as much as possible with my friend, and I'm going to just call him a co-host at this point for those episodes, Michael Schumer. So
Okay.
I'm always down to talk Last of Us.
Good. I'm in good company.
What are your thoughts on it?
So, yeah, I mean, I loved it. I played both of the games.
Both games, all right.
Console, yep. So I played both of the games. And so I went into it with high expectations. And I really can't complain. I know in the media, I've read that people have been maybe frustrated by the fact that they didn't stick to the entirety of the plot and they kind of swayed from the plot or expanded on
Yeah.
things from the plot. And, I disagree with that argument. I mean, I think there definitely was some expansion,
Yep.
but I love that. I think for somebody who played the game, that was really special to me because if it was exactly like how I played, yeah, it would be cool. I would get to see it kind of in that live kind of action role. But I think it kind of kept me on my toes. So it kind
Yeah.
of brought back some of that nostalgia of being kept on my toes playing the game.
That's what I really like about it. 'Cause Last of Us was one of those games where, like, I was already. So I played Uncharted, which is a Naughty Dog game. So I played
Same.
all, I think, 3 games.
Oh, good
And
for you.
They were like, oh, hey, we're going to make this new survival game. And at first I'm like, I just want more Uncharted. But then I'm like, you know what? Nope, Naughty Dog is great.
Yep.
Saw the first trailer, the gameplay trailer, which is I think was the hotel scene in Pittsburgh. This is
Okay.
the first time they showed. I remember the level because I recently just played it,
Nice.
and I'm like, that looks cool.
Yeah.
That looks great. The thing is, the gameplay is not even the greatest part of the game. That's actually like one of the big criticisms of the game.
Okay.
But the story is what like just kills. It's just one of the greatest stories.
It is,
Like when you
yeah.
think greatest story of video games, Last of Us is the first game that most people think of. Mm-hmm. And so
Very thematic, like throughout the entire gaming.
Exactly.
Like when I was gaming, I mean, I was like, God, this could be a movie.
I remember playing, getting the game for the first time, and then playing it. I told the story in the pod already, but I had to close. So I was working at McDonald's at the time. I had to close and open, and I got the game before my shift, and that's all I was excited for. And I had a buddy who was doing the same thing. Sorry about that. That was my alarm that I turned off. I'm
Wah,
confused.
wah. That's all right.
Even thought
Background
about it.
noise.
Exactly. Good song though.
True.
Where was I? Oh yeah, so the story. So me and my buddy, we were closing then opening, and we had this idea of we're gonna stay up and play this game. And we only were able to play the first like hour or 3 hour section. And I remember just bawling at the end of it at like 3 a.m. Just like, this is so sad.
Feeling all the feels. Yes,
And then
it
immediately having to go to work right afterwards.
And like, did someone die? What's wrong, man?
So that's my first memory of Last of Us. I do agree that I like that they switched it up because for somebody who plays the games, the last couple episodes, I think they played it to a T. Like, because I remember I was playing the game, and Sapphire's never played the game before. So she was watching me play the game, and then we were basically playing up to her episode.
Okay.
And so I would play the entire game, and then we watched the episode, and I'm like, it was like match per match per match.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good way to do it.
The ending
Yeah.
was great for that reason, but in the middle of it, I did like with Pittsburgh and the Kansas City switch, which I think aesthetically makes sense,
Yeah.
just because they're filming in Calgary.
Agreed.
But with like the fact that they focus more on the characters, so they focus a little bit more on Henry Sam, they focus on Kathleen,
Yeah.
they focus on the hunters or the revolutionary group in that.
Yep.
With Bill and Frank, try not to get it too spoilery because it's not like a spoilery episode.
Right. Yeah.
Or-
Yeah.
With Bill and Frank, I do like the change with that because I think the story that because in game, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I want to see the connection between Ellie and Bill because they're just back and forth, and it is hilarious in the game.
Oh, it is.
But the
yeah.
whole point of that section was to kind of build the bonding between Joel and Ellie.
Okay. Yep.
But
That
there
makes
wasn't
sense.
there wasn't a whole lot of it. But also the point of that section of that game was to introduce like different gameplay. That was the big gameplay proponent. But that doesn't translate well on TV without it just being a giant action episode.
Right.
And so them
Yeah.
changing it to this love story, I agree. I'm like, this is a better story overall. And the little bits of Joel and Ellie like build their relationship.
Yeah,
So
it was still there. It was still there.
So-
I agree with that.
they made a lot of changes, but like thematically, it's the same story.
It is. Yeah, it is. They just expanded on it
All
a
right, so
bit more.
what's your thoughts on season 2 and part 2?
Yeah, so well, I'm going to backtrack a little bit before I answer that. So, when I was just starting out watching the episode, or the season rather, I wondered if they would end on the first game, and if they would make the first season the first game, the second season the second game. And so I'm happy that without spoiling too much, I'm happy that the season ended how it did.
Yep.
And so I think it really sets up that next season well. So I'm really looking forward to it. I had heard that there were in the media that there were maybe some decisions that had to be made, or rather people were just speculating about who was going to be playing Ellie, with it being maybe a lapse in time.
Yeah.
And so, no, I'm on board for it. I mean, I'm really excited. After the last episode, I knew that I wasn't done and I needed more and I needed to see the second game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on screen again. So
immediately after finishing season 1, Sapphire was just like, we got to play part 2 right away. We got to play part 2. Of course.
It does it to you. It's like, who needs drugs, right?
Yeah. And like, it's so the game is so cinematic that like, she's like, I feel like I'm just watching season 2. And I'm like, it does feel like that. It's like, especially the first section of the game, it is so cinematic. There is so many cutscenes that it does feel like that way.
It does, yeah.
But now we're definitely into, I don't want to spoil where we're at. We're at Seattle Day 1, the second character.
Okay.
That they introduced in the game. I will say.
Yep, I think I know exactly where you're at.
So when they made Last of Us Part 1, or the season 1, their whole intention was we're going to make the best season 1 possible without knowing if there's going to be season 2, but they wanted to plan for season 2. So they put in the seeds for season 2.
Okay.
For like example, episode 6, I believe it's called Kin. There is an individual that is eyeing up Ellie.
Yes. Yep.
The finale, they eye up a certain individual of the Fireflies that is a huge Easter egg.
Yes.
And also one of the actresses that played the nurse is also one of the characters that she voices a major character in part 2.
It was beautiful. I did not see it come in, and that was a pleasant surprise, let me tell you.
Yeah. So, okay. So I have a rating scale.
Okay.
All right. So my rating scale is 1. It's 1 out of 5. 1 being trash.
Yep.
2 being meh. 3 being good. 4 being great. And 5 being elite. It's like it's the bar that everyone goes for. It's the best of its genre.
Okay.
And then I do a plus and a minus. So if something's borderline, I'm like, if it's good, but it's getting to it's close to great, it'd be like a 3+. Or if it's like, it's great, but I don't know if it's great, it'd be like a 4-.
Okay.
Where would you rate The Last of Us season 1?
Gosh, I think I'm going to have to give it a 5.
You're giving it
I think I do. I mean, throughout the entirety of me watching it, it was great. Like, I didn't have any criticisms. I thought that it was a great way to really get the game, live and on screen. I loved it.
Yeah, I gave it a 4+.
Okay.
I think my only criticism of it is I wanted more.
Okay.
That's like my biggest criticism of it. And I'm like, is that a criticism at this point? Because everything they did, I think they did great. I think the pacing was just quick. Where I'm like,
it did feel quick.
It did feel quick. If you could have gave me just one more episode, if you could have gave me just a little bit more time, a little bit more clickers, a little bit more action, I think it would have been a 5 for me.
I think that is why I initially gave it a 5, because I don't know, it keeps you coming back. It keeps you wanting more. You're not satisfied. And I liked that about it.
That's like, it's a good sign for a show if your criticism is, you didn't give me enough of it.
It sure is. I was like, Jake, come on. I was ready to square up. I'm like, what is this criticism you have, sir?
I compared
Let's go.
It's like European desserts where they give you like a little dish and it's like very, very flavorful. Like there's just a lot of flavor to it.
Yeah.
And you eat it and you're like, oh man, I want more of it. But I don't know if I can handle more, but I want more.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a lot at once, super saturated, a lot at once, but you're still not satisfied.
Exactly. I will say the cold opens that Craig Mazin like added to the show, I thought were like some of the best scenes.
Yeah.
The new information, which is like great.
Loved it.
It's I think it's great for adaptation because they didn't just like we're to take all the the cut scenes of the game, we're just going to make them live action. They're like, No, we're gonna add a little bit more information. So I'm like, that's wonderful. All right, enough of The Last of Us.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk all day, man, but I don't think that's why I'm here. Talk about Last of Us.
If the audience wants a little bit more spoiler talk of The Last of Us, please check out my episode, Last of Us Season 2 predictions, and me and Michael Schumer get a lot more into it. I just don't, for those who haven't played it or haven't played the games or haven't watched the show yet, who are still interested, we're keeping it spoiler free for the most part.
Cool.
All right, so moving on, we're going to segue to this. You also are into foraging.
Oof, I sure am.
Foraging mushrooms.
Yep.
Even after watching The Last of Us.
Even after watching The Last of Us. Yep, they won't scare me away.
Have you had cordyceps yet?
I have not.
I hear they're actually pretty good.
Okay, yeah, I have yet to come across it in the wild,
I
but would love to.
You would love to. I would run. If I see a little ant running around with a mushroom in
You're
it,
like, I'm done.
I'm out.
It's my sign. But no, yeah, I love foraging, and I'm getting very excited as the snow's melting and the days are looking sunnier, the skies are looking blue.
Yes, for those who are
to get back out there.
For those who are not in Minnesota, there's still lots of snow on the ground, and it's almost April. It's really sad.
Oh, I heard a rumor.
Oh no.
Yep.
Is it the fact there's going to be a blizzard in like tomorrow?
Not a blizzard, but more snow on the radar. Yeah.
I'm hoping it's just rain and it just washes everything away.
Yeah, I'm crossing my fingers, my toes, anything I can.
If you don't like snow, if you don't like cold, don't move to Minnesota.
Yeah.
You'll get snow until April, sometimes May.
So many moments where I'm like, why do I live here? But our summers are great.
All right. When do you usually start foraging?
Yeah, so foraging for me, you can forage all year long. Mm-hmm. So no matter the season, you can find stuff. Obviously, living up in Minnesota,
yep.
We have some harsh winters, and so resources can definitely be scarce once the snow happens and the temperature drops. But for what I'm looking for when I forage, I'm typically looking for mushrooms, morels, chicken of the woods, hen of the woods, really those delicious mushrooms that you can find in the wild in Minnesota. But I also forage for really any wild edible. So there's other plants, not just mushrooms, fun fact, that you can eat from our forests, and it's great.
Well, what type of vegetables?
Yeah, so ramps are one. It's kind of like a green type plant.
Nice.
Tastes comparable to, it kind of gives off like an onion, garlic kind of taste, real good. And then fiddlehead ferns are another one. Yep, so fiddlehead ferns.
I don't think I've ever had ramp or fiddlehead ferns before.
Yeah, they're both great. I'd recommend it. And I mean, saves you a trip to the grocery store. You just got to get outside.
Yeah. Describe them to me, because I'm like blanking on. Is it like a seasoning, or is it like actual like dish that you can make yourself?
Yeah, so more like a seasoning or a dressing. So with ramps, you can make almost like a garlic butter.
Okay.
Is what I would compare it to.
What would you put that on?
You could put it on toast. You could throw it on mashed potatoes. Really, whatever you would use garlic butter for.
I haven't had dinner yet, so that
ramp
sounds
butter.
delicious.
Yeah. Oh, it's a treat for sure. And then the ferns, the fiddleheads, that's more. Well, gosh, people just do such crazy things with these. But I've seen them used with like mushrooms, kind of used as a side dish or an appetizer. You can throw them in a salad. There's opportunities are endless.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, I've never gone foraging before. My only foraging experience is Stardew Valley.
I love Stardew Valley. My sister put me onto that a few years ago, and it's a good time.
Let me guess. You played it, and then you didn't stop playing it for months.
Yep, that's exactly how it went down.
That's how it goes for me.
Yeah, it takes one to know one.
And foraging is like the main thing I did early on, because that's how you got money right away, is foraging while you work on your crops and farms.
Yep.
It's been a while since I played Stardew. I've played it like 2 or 3 times, and every time I do, I get stuck for months.
You get sucked in. No, I feel that. It's funny. I mean, I do quite a bit of gaming here and there, and the games that turn me on the most are the ones that have that kind of foraging aspect to it. So I forage in real life and virtually. I just can't get enough of it.
I'll say my biggest foraging is more Minecraft at this point.
Yeah.
I got got onto it last summer, and I'm still playing it.
Oh, only last summer you got onto it.
Well, here's the thing. So I used to play creative all the time when it first came out.
Okay, not familiar with that one.
Creative? So there's creative and there's survival. Creative is where you're just simply building. You have all the resources possible and you just build. And so I just really enjoyed the building aspect of it. And so I used to like make like stadiums, football stadiums out of them, or like skyscrapers, and just design different things that way. Recently though, I got into survival, where it's more of the, you know, you gotta survive the zombies or the creepers, and then you have to like find the materials.
Yep.
And we created this giant world. Me and Sapphire did. And recently we just turned it to creative. We didn't have it on where we get the accomplishments.
Sure.
Every time you died, typically in survival, you lose all your resources, or you have to go back to get your resources. In this one, I made 2 worlds, one for me to do like regular mode, and for her I'm like, oh, it'll make it a little bit easier, and then I just ended up playing that one.
Nice.
It wasn't buying the fact that she would have bought in. She bought in all the way.
She bought in all the way. She's done for it, guys.
But we changed it up to creative because we wanted to make mine. Basically, like, we had different areas we wanted to go, but building like giant mine carts took forever. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna turn it creative and make it easier for myself.
There you go. Yeah, Minecraft is awesome. There's so much that you can do with it to create your own world. My sister, she would create Pokemon in the sky.
Oh, really?
And that's what she chose to do, and it was just amazing.
It's just a giant Bulbasaur.
Yeah, just a giant Bulbasaur or Mewtwo, what have you.
That's cool.
Very cool.
I know people have done this before, but I've wanted to make like old Kanto and like make the world itself. But I know people have done it before and make it like block by block. But it's really hard because the insides are like, the outside building is like only like 2 blocks long, where the inside is like a full actual building on the inside.
Oh, sure.
Just because that's how like they did the gamings back then.
Yeah.
So it'd be a little bit difficult for that reason.
Yeah.
But speaking
regardless, good times.
Minecraft and horror gaming, tell me the game that you're into.
Yeah, so right now, my dear sister, who I was talking about, she put me on to Sons of the Forest. So Sons of the Forest is the second game in a sequel. The first game is The Forest. And a couple years ago, she did put me on to The Forest, so the first one as well. But it is a kind of zombie survival horror game. We play it on PC. And this is my first time really playing a game on PC and seeing it through. So I most of my time gaming has been spent behind a controller for an Xbox or a PlayStation. And so being on a PC, it hits very, very different, and I am hooked.
Yeah, you're onto it?
I don't think I will ever go back. That's it's console gaming. It's amazing.
That's what I hear from those who like. I have my own PC built up, but I usually just hook up a controller to the PC. I'm still into the controller, but when my PC gamer friends tell me about it, they tell me the same thing. Like, yeah, it's so much better.
Yeah. Oh, it is superior all day. So
do you have your own PC then?
So, well, I share it. I say that I share it, but really I don't. It's my fiance's. Okay. But we live together, so by product, I share it. I would say.
Do you know the specs?
I don't. I do not know the specs. I wish I did, but nope. That's where.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my computer up. I need a new graphics card, but they're so expensive right now. I need to spend like $700 on a graphics card just to play like the AAA games.
Yeah, it's a pretty penny for sure.
It is. And like a couple of games I want to play is like the new God of War when that comes out. Hogwarts Legacy is another one.
Yeah.
Have you played that one yet?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so funny story about that. Okay. I would have loved to play it.
Yeah.
So I went to GameStop maybe a week after Hogwarts Legacy came out, picked up what I thought was a Hogwarts game for my PS4, only to get back home after sending some Snapchats to my siblings, expressing my excitement. And as I was about to unbox it, stick it in my console, I got a phone call from my brother. And he's like, hey, Emily, did you open your game yet? And I'm like, no, I'm just about to. I'm so excited. I'm going to go in. And he's like, don't do it. It's for the PS5. And I'm like, shit,
What game did you buy?
So I bought Hogwarts Legacy for the PS5 instead of the PS4.
Oh, okay.
And they don't have it out
No, not yet.
for the
I believe
PS4.
it's
So I was
April.
Yeah, I was pretty let down, but it all worked out because then I got a phone call from my sister who didn't know about this whole,
Yeah.
hiccup. And she told me, "Hey, Emily, your favorite game's coming out tomorrow, Sons of the Forest." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah,
Nice.
let's go."
It's al-
So it all worked out. It was
It is
a
also
wash.
on PC too. So if
Yeah.
your fiance
Yep.
has a PC that's good enough to play Hogwarts Legacy,
I could do it. Yep.
you could do it, and you
I
could
could.
try out the keyboard and mouse method too.
Okay, I guess what I'm running into is that so I went back to GameStop to return the game
Yep.
that I couldn't keep, and they wouldn't accept it. I had lost my receipt, so that was unfortunate. They weren't able to print me a receipt. And so now I'm sitting on a game for a PS5, and I don't know anyone who has a PS5. Everyone's that I know is just sticking to the PS4s, so
Yeah.
I'm like, do I buy one? Do I not? Probably not, because I'm getting into PC gaming now. So
That's fair.
yeah, if you know
So-
if anyone looking, I got
will
one.
let them know. I feel like if you have a PS5, they're going to buy all the PS5 games.
Yep.
At this point. All right. I do have a little bit thing to say about horror gaming and horror movies.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I'm not a huge horror fan when it comes to movies. I will not that I don't like horror movies.
Yeah.
They bore me.
They bore you.
Because
Okay, maybe you're not watching the right ones.
That could be. I think just because I know there's like horror fans, and anytime there's like this horror setup, they get excited for it. For
Yep.
me, it's just the tropes are always the same. It's always
Sure.
like there's a group of people, there's an external force. This external force is taking them down one by one, and the whole mystery of the horror, it's like, does this person make it, or does the protagonist make it, or do they not? Everyone else is probably going to die at this point. Mm-hmm. Is the protagonist going to make it, or is the external force is going to win? It's a survival movie. To me, I just see those tropes, and it's unless they do something a little bit like twisted or they add a mystery to it. Movies that I can think of as Scream, like the original one. There's
Yep.
like a mystery of like who's the killer.
Yeah.
It has to be somebody, and they have that huge twist where there's two killers. Cabin in the Woods plays with these tropes all the time.
Uh-huh.
Or sometimes like what's it good? Like The Conjuring just plays with the tropes really, really well.
Yeah, I would agree. Yep, they kind of
so,
do
like,
their own thing.
they're,
But
like, they're-
predictable.
yeah.
I see where you're
So I always
getting.
get bored, and like if there's like a movie, a lot of times the movies just play into the tropes, and it's just boring for me.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about horror gaming: it's a little bit different. Me and Sapphire flip on it. She loves horror movies. I'm
Yeah.
sure you walked into an office with her having a horror movie on.
Oh,
in the middle of her work.
yeah, definitely. And I appreciated it because I am a horror buff myself.
Nice. I'm curious what your favorite horror movies are then.
Ooh, so, gosh, hard question.
Here,
'Cause
let me. I'll have you think about it, and I'll
Okay.
finish my statement.
beautiful.
So
Let's do it.
I'm starting to like horror games more, for the fact that like it's the same concept, but it's a little bit different because
Mm-hmm.
there might be people around you, but for the most part, it's usually just one protagonist. And yes, there's an external force that's trying to get you, and you're trying to survive, or there's multiple external forces. Example, like Last of Us is one of the games I'm playing. There's zombies, there's people, or clickers, people.
Yep.
Dead Space is another one that I've played that I want to get into recently because they just released it. You have the essentially space zombies, I'll just call them. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit different because you are the protagonist. You are the player. You are not watching somebody going through, like, you're not wondering, oh, are they going to make it? You know you're going to make it as a player for the
Yep.
most part. But it's a challenge.
And you're choosing your own adventure,
Yeah.
in a sense, too.
You're trying to
which-
get
yeah.
over the challenge of the external
Yeah.
force. It's a little bit different. So I'm like, I actually enjoy the horror games, and when I get scared, it's weirdly pleasurable.
Yeah, I feel
I'm
that.
like, ah,
Yep.
why am I enjoying this? Like even Minecraft
It's a
survival,
good release.
going into like the caves and like you're and then you have like spooky music, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm walking into, and I'm like kind of scared because like if I die, then I have to like go all the way back. But I'm also enjoying it. Mm-hmm. So I just like realized I'm like, okay, horror movies, I'm kind of bored of them. Horror games, it's like the same concept except I'm going through it.
So I gotta ask, what do you think of like psychological thrillers? Because those are, I mean, I wouldn't say one and the same, but they are similar.
I enjoy psychological
Yeah.
thrillers.
Okay.
Like I'm not dissing the horror genre
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
I used to write comics and stuff, and I've had some horror like comics to it.
Nice.
So
You like the idea of it. You
I
just
like-
haven't been super impressed by.
generally
Yeah.
like 80% of the movies I'm bored by.
Yeah.
Some
no,
of the
I
great
feel
movies,
that.
Cabin
Yeah.
in the Woods, one of my favorite ones.
Yes.
But that's more
agreed.
like horror sci-fi. Playing
I
the
would
tropes.
say so. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Cabin in the Woods is definitely one of my favorites. I would say.
All right.
Sinister.
I think I've watched Sinister.
Yep,
before.
I like Sinister.
That's more
movies
psychological.
like that. Yeah, maybe a bit more psychological.
That's the one where he goes into like the dark dimension and there's like the devil or like the demon in there, right?
Yeah, and then there's the kids
Okay.
involved that
Yep.
are, causing a scene. We'll say. Blair Witch Project. That's a classic. I've always loved that one.
I tried watching that movie and I couldn't get into it.
Okay. Yeah. Anything in the woods. I mean, yeah, I'm a forager, so.
Anything in the woods. What's the movie? Evil Dead?
Yeah.
I've watched the remake. That's it.
Okay.
I'm disappointing my audience probably.
You probably are, yeah. The original's great. Check it out.
Trick or Treat.
Oh, Trick or Treat. Yep. Yep.
I wasn't really into the Saw franchise when it first came out.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan either.
You weren't. Oh, you weren't a huge fan.
No,
was-
not really.
I was.
Oh,
into-
you were a fan?
I was.
You
The-
were,
The
okay.
first three I was into, and then the fourth one was just essentially torture core.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or torture porn. Yeah, it was like.
Yeah, either or.
I'm like, oh, there's not a mystery of who this person is or they make it out. It's just okay. I don't want to see people just get tortured. That's.
Yeah, I was young when I watched them, so
Okay.
I think maybe part of my not being super interested in them when they came out was just because I was a scared kid.
I could.
But-
I just really like the first one because I'm like, oh, that's such a twist at the end. And I'm like, I was just
Yeah.
like in love with the twist, and then the second and the third one also the twist, like different twists, and so I was really into it. And then it just kind of got meh, like most horror movies franchises.
Right. Yep.
All right. Any other horror movies that you can think of that is like your favorite? Before
Gosh,
moving
The
on?
Ritual's a really good one.
Okay.
I would say that's probably falls into the horror genre. Another one that takes place in the woods, but super good.
Nice. All right. Moving on to the next segment before we get into this interview. I gotta like wind this up. We are way past usually where we get this. It's time for a news quickie. Oh yeah. All right, time to get into some news. Shazam bombs at the box office. Did you watch Shazam?
No.
No one did. I went opening night, and there was two other groups, like two
Okay.
other pairs in there. Of course, it was Minnesota, so it was a blizzard.
Of course.
I thought maybe that was it, but yeah, once I saw it, I'm like, is it because of the blizzard, or is it because no one wants to see Shazam? Dwayne Johnson is to blame. Apparently, he shut down Black Adam. Not
okay.
going to Shazam 2, which I think would have made a huge box office roar.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you follow MCU at all? Marvel news?
Not so much. No. Love Marvel. Just haven't really kept up with it over the years.
That's fair. It's my job to keep up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of news though. So, major Marvel executive Victoria Alonso is leaving. Special effects big. I don't know who this was, but apparently somebody tried to get Kevin Feige fired. And the huge. Did you watch Ant-Man at all?
Ant-Man?
Ant-Man
No.
3. Loki season 1.
Yes.
The one who wait, what's his name? The one who remains? The guy, the big villain at the end.
Okay, yep.
The actor, he's Kang. He's supposed to be the huge big bad for this upcoming Phase 4. Arrested for
Oh no. What did he do?
apparently assault.
Ooh. Yeah,
yeah.
that'll get you.
But apparently he's cleared up now, and apparently he has proof that he's free. I don't know. It's a saga, but MCU is looking problematic.
Oof. Come on, guys.
So me and Ernie will talk about that. Well, I guess in a week when
Okay.
this airs. So we'll talk about it with some more. All right, couple more news. Braz and Monkey, TikTok user, made a life-size Appa replica from Avatar: The Last Airbender. You saw it. What do you
I
think?
saw it. Incredible.
It looks huge.
I think my jaw hit the floor.
It looks so fluffy. I'm like, I want to ride it, but you
I
can't.
want to ride it. Yep.
I don't know. Where would you store that? Garage?
Maybe. Yeah, if your garage is big enough.
It's huge. It's like the size of 2 cars.
Wow.
I mean, you
So
saw it. And like, I think like it's the size of a car, but like with the tail and its head, it's like 2 cars combined.
I mean, yeah, just looking at the video, I would say that's
Yeah.
probably accurate.
Are you a Legend of Zelda fan?
No, I can't say that I am.
Tears of the Kingdom gameplay just dropped. It looks amazing. I will
Okay.
say, if you ever want to get into Legends of Zelda, Breath of the Wild is a great place to start.
Oh, I've heard great things.
It's a
I
great
mean,
game.
yeah.
And this
I'm
game-
not opposed to being a fan. I just haven't
You might like
dipped my toes yet.
great place to dip your toes. Tears of the Kingdom actually looks really cool because there's a lot of foraging elements to it. Where
Oh, okay, I'm
you
already
can-
hooked.
You can gather like items from monsters that you kill or from trees, and you make boats out of it. You can you can adjust your weapons. Like there's like a monster eyeball you can collect, and you collect it in the old game, but in this game you can collect it and use it, and it'll track down like things with an arrow. So you connect it to an arrow, and the eye will follow your target.
Oh, no way. That sounds crazy cool. What console? Is it on
Nintendo Switch.
Switch, right?
Yes.
Only Switch? Okay.
This is
I have a Switch, so we're good there.
Perfect. The only downside, it's $70 now instead of $60.
Oof.
I know. It's like the downside,
Price
but
gouging.
like you guys are smart though. This is the game that everybody wants, and you're gonna put it at the 70. It's like I'm mad at the 70 price, but I'm gonna pay it.
Yeah,
Damn you,
exactly.
Nintendo.
Yeah. That's how they get you.
All right, let's get into the interview. All right.
Wonderful.
So you are the founder, right? Not co-founder, founder of Minnesota Neurodivergent.
I am.
All right.
Yep.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So I just have to correct you. It's M Neurodivergent.
Oh, I apologize.
Yep. No worries. No worries. But I am the founder of M Neurodivergent. So I started a group back in last April.
Okay.
So April 2022 for individuals who identify as being neurodivergent. So neurodivergent, it's a huge umbrella, but it's my group is kind of fulfilling the purpose, I guess you could say, of just bringing neurodivergent Minnesotans together for the purpose of friendship making, making quality connections, networking in whatever way works for each member or each individual. And yeah, we've been going strong for a year. We just got approval to be an official nonprofit. So we have hit nonprofit status as of
Congratulations.
January of this
Nice.
year. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm part of this group as well. A lot of group chats.
Yes.
I forget we have the St. Cloud area has its own mascot. I forget exactly what we called.
We do, and I don't want to spoil it because, I mean, it's supposed to be a surprise, but my sister, who's an artist, is actually going to be drawing our mascot.
Is she?
So stay tuned for that. It's
Awesome.
going to be awesome.
I
I
am
caught a sneak peek, and I'm excited.
looking forward to it. All right. How'd you get started on this video?
Yeah, so I am neurodivergent myself, so I am diagnosed ADHD. I have a TBI or a traumatic brain injury, so my shit operates a little bit differently in comparison to the norm or general pop. And so growing up, I always struggled to make and maintain friendships. I was always very friendly. So at times it was easy for me to make connections with people, but I always struggled with just maintaining that connection. And so as I got older, it started to weigh on me. I felt like I didn't have a lot of lasting friendships from when I was a kid. And so I had a thought one night that it would be super cool to be in a room with people whose brains just thought maybe similar to me, and be in a room where I didn't feel that I needed to mask or hide my symptoms in order to appeal to the general population or to a crowd. And so I had started as a thought, and I hopped on some groups on Facebook, some groups that were kind of targeting just people in Minnesota who wanted to make friends. They did not need to be neurodivergent, just friendships. And I hopped onto some of those groups, and I had just asked if anyone knew of any groups that were solely for neurodivergent Minnesotans. And I found that there really wasn't a lot that were geared towards making friends and establishing just networking and connections.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, hey, I mean, why not start it? And we'll see what happens.
Nice.
And so started out pretty small, but over this last year, we've just really been able to expand.
Yeah. How many strong?
So gosh, I wish I had an exact number, but on our Facebook page, we have, gosh, we're going on 400 members there.
Yeah, that's a crowd. That's good.
Yeah. And then we're also on Meetup. There, again, I would say that's about 400. And then we do have people who follow, like we have an Instagram set up. We try to cover a lot of bases. I mean, we have a Reddit and a Discord even. So we're kind of all over the place. And my main kind of goal was that we're expanding access. And so in whatever way possible, I know we can't hit all of our bases, but I'm trying our best just to be on multiple platforms to really get people involved.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, with the show, I'm also trying to do a very similar thing. So I understand the getting multiple platforms, trying to get multiple bases, because not everyone just does Facebook.
Right,
they do
exactly.
Discord, or they do Reddit.
Yep.
So I feel like it's a lot of maintenance, though.
Yeah, it sure is. It is. But lucky for us, we have been able to establish a board now. So we do have members that serve on our board. We have 6 now.
Right,
and
awesome.
So we have more people kind of with feet on the ground helping us manage some of those things.
That's awesome to hear. There's a couple things I want to touch upon because the feeling of like friendships. I'm part of the group, so I am also neurodivergent.
Yes.
Diagnosed ADHD when I was the age of 7 or 8. Still trying to get that. I don't know if I need an adult diagnosis, but would like to have one.
Yeah.
But the maintaining friendships part, I definitely get, or not feeling like you fit in. That's definitely something that like hit me when I was younger. When I was in my teenage years, I felt very like in a shell because I was trying to appeal to everybody else.
Yes.
And it like, I understand that like I just want to be me. I don't want to mask, which is definitely where I'm at now.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed is like the friends that I actually talk to, we're all kind of like figuring out like, oh, wait, you also have ADHD? Wait, you have ADHD too?
Yes.
How are we just like the ones that like the friendships that I like maintain are like the ones who also have ADHD? Like those are the people I connect with.
Isn't it funny?
It is funny.
It happens more often than not.
And it's really cool. And like I don't feel alone, which is why I really like this nonprofit that you started, this group.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's multiple of us.
Yeah, you're not so isolated. I think that was, important for me too. So yeah, I mean, started it, I guess I would say, with some selfishness, and that I was doing it for myself so I could just get out there and just meet like-minded people. But of course, I wanted to give back and just really expand that access, like I said.
Well, there was a huge void, and you felt there was a need. I mean, you say selfish, but I feel like every action, this is my opinion, of course, I feel like every action, even if it comes off as selfless, is selfish because everyone gets something out of something, like their actions. Yep. But your quotation marks selfish act created a community that's now 400 going on 500 strong. So that's
it's awesome. It's been great.
Okay, so I had another question, but I think you already answered it. Your current goals as a nonprofit, just...
Yeah, so we actually just had a board meeting a couple of weeks ago where we've been working on drafting a mission statement. So before we had a board, I had kind of a brief and what I called mission statement that I put out there, but not very organized. I wasn't really collaborating with anybody, but it was just kind of my thoughts on where I would like to see us go as an organization. And so we're kind of working on the development process and crafting, but I've learned that the members of the board are on board, no pun intended, to kind of continue to carry out the mission that I had intended. So I'm very happy for that. But from what I have taken away from that meeting is that one thing that's very important is that we are by the people for the people. And so we do kind of place a requirement on our group in that you do need to either self-identify or have a diagnosis of some neurodivergence in order to be a member. That's super important to me. Like I touched on earlier, with the masking, I want to create a space where there is no pressure to mask. We
Yep.
can all just be free and happy and comfortable just being ourselves. And my fear is that if we introduce allies, I understand and I recognize that allies are so important.
Yeah.
And we need allies. We need people out there helping us fight that good fight, because that good fight shouldn't always be put on us, right?
Exactly.
As a minority. And so that's one of our huge values, is that we're just keeping this safe space, and that we are encouraging members not to mask. And so with that, we want to continue to expand our access. And so our goal is to get localized chapters in like major cities or near major cities in Minnesota. So right now we have a chapter in St. Cloud. We have a chapter in various areas in the metro, up in Duluth now recently, Mankato, and I feel like there's one other that I might be missing, but maybe it'll come to me.
Moorhead Fargo area?
Moorhead Fargo. Yep, there we go. And so what our idea is that we will find somebody who's willing to host and organize meetup events in each of those localized chapters, and will continuously offer opportunities for members of the group to come together and meet. So we've done many different activities. We have set up movies. We've done hiking events. We've done bowling, mini golf. We're kind of all over the place, and we really just go where the members are expressing interest, and then we encourage members who aren't, a designated event coordinator or event organizer, to throw ideas out there, or to say, hey, I'm going to be at, this place on this date if anyone wants to come and grab coffee with me, or is anyone interested in grabbing ice cream this week? So that's kind of a part of it too. And
so really building that community of neurodivergence.
Yeah, just really building that community is really our goal. And again, just to encourage us to be our beautiful, authentic selves without that pressure or need to mask and hide who we are.
I love it.
Thank you.
I really do, because it is hard when you're around like at the workplace, or if you're like out in public, and that the idea of like masking or having to hide yourself or family functions is definitely where I think of.
Oh gosh, yeah, I feel that.
So you kind of already answered this question, but in 5 years, where do you see MN Neurodivergent?
So M Neurodivergent. So it's kind of a play on words. The MN, comes from, us being in Minnesota.
So,
but M Neurodivergent, because it kind of plays into, like, that's our identity. We are neurodivergent.
Well, I apologize for the...
Hey, no worries. I just had to call you out.
All right. Should have called me out sooner, because I made the mistake several times. Should have done it right away in the preview. All right. So, yeah, 5 years. Long-term plan, where do you see this nonprofit going? Yeah,
I just see us continuing to expand and continue to fill that void for individuals. I would love to see us just continue to grow and just to continue to see people giving us that positive feedback that, yeah, this is working, and we love it. We've had some great feedback so far, and we're just going to continue to listen to the needs and the preferences of the community. And so we do a lot of polls within our group, and so I'd like to see for us just to continue to poll our members to see kind of where the interest is and where their preferences are too.
Awesome. All right. So how does one get involved?
Yeah, so to get involved, we are, again, kind of still, in the development. Gosh, we're just recognized as a nonprofit in January, so now we're kind of figuring out, like, all of the ins and outs of being a nonprofit, bylaws, and all of that. And so with that, there's a lot of work that we still have to do. We don't have a website right now, but we're working on setting up a website that's going to host all of our events so people can see when those are. But right now, our two main social media platforms are Meetup and Facebook. So if you do a search of M Neurodivergent, so that's M Neurodivergent, capital MN, You can find us on those websites. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook page, as well as a meetup group that's localized to the St. Cloud, Twin Cities, and all of those other areas that I mentioned.
Awesome. All right, we're hitting the hour mark. That's all my questions for Minnesota Neurodivergent. Would you want to end now, or did you want to talk a little bit more about your personal story with ADHD?
I could talk a little bit about my personal story here.
We can keep it a story. All right.
Yeah.
So, personal story with ADHD. From what I understand, you're kind of a late diagnosis.
Yes. Not a late bloomer, but a late diagnosis for sure.
Yeah.
So, my story is that, with the neurodivergence, typically it's something that you're born with. And so, I've been neurodivergent since birth, but undiagnosed. And so, since I was 14, I really struggled with mental health symptoms. So I really had a consistent diagnosis of anxiety, depression, kind of throughout college, throughout high school, and then into adulthood. And I saw many different professionals who gave me these diagnoses. We tried meds, we tried different therapies to help kind of combat the symptoms that I was feeling. And I just never felt that, some things worked. I was having some relief with some of those symptoms, but I still felt like something was missing.
Yeah.
And so I just started seriously pursuing a diagnosis of some kind of neurodivergence as a kid. And as an adult, my parents always said that they knew that I was on some spectrum somewhere, but they just didn't know what it was.
Right.
Growing up in the 90s, things like mental health weren't as talked about, and neurodivergence in women was oftentimes very either misdiagnosed or just not recognized, and so it was hard to get a diagnosis. Things are changing now, which is amazing. And so there was... I think a bit of pressure maybe for my parents just not to label me. They felt that I was happy and I was thriving, but little did they know I was struggling with a lot in my little brain.
Yeah. Was there a lot of masking, I'm guessing? There
was a lot of masking, and now that I got my diagnosis, I've kind of interviewed my mom a lot. I've asked her a lot of questions about just like how I was as a kid. I just want to understand this and how it's been impacting me really my whole life, not just when it got hard for me in adulthood. And she said that once I got enrolled in public school, so like the second I went to my first day of kindergarten, there was just a change in my behavior. Like I kind of dulled like my just personality. And she said it was very, very clear. And so, I think there was a huge masking component. I was always super duper shy in school, but then you'd get me hanging out with the neighbor kids and I'd be a completely different person.
Interesting.
Yep.
I know it's like a lot different in women, and I'm not going to talk. So I was diagnosed as a kid with males. It's really, with little boys, it's really obvious because we show the hyperactivity part very, very easily.
Yes.
One of my siblings, I won't specify who because I don't want to give out that information.
Yep.
One of my siblings also recently diagnosed as an adult.
Okay, cool.
And it shocked me and my other sibling because we're like, wait, what? You also have ADHD? It was one of those things that shocked me because she masked. Basically, she's just this very like conservative person. And now it like hits, it's like, oh, you're masking this entire time.
Yes, it's such a phenomena. I mean, it's so interesting. And just learning to understand what it meant to mask, I just look back on my life and I'm like, oh God, I was really masking, to fit in. Yeah.
And even like my own personal story too, because like I was diagnosed, but once like I was on meds for a few years and my parents took it off, and I forgot I had ADHD for literally 15 years.
Wow.
It was not until like I was like 25, 26 where I had like an ADHD episode where like I was basically like I was like a squirrel where I couldn't stay on topic.
Yeah.
And it was like my friend who also I just learned who had ADHD. He's like, "Are you drunk?" Because we were having beers. I had one. I'm like, "No, I don't know what's going on, but like I can't keep on topic. We're going out to eat." And I'm like, anytime I seen a billboard, I'm like switching the subject. Anything I saw, and then I had it a couple months later. I had it with another friend, and we were trying to figure out something to eat. Maybe there's some
Yeah.
correlation with food or whatnot.
Interesting. Yeah.
And she's like, "All right, you're gonna decide where to eat," and I couldn't stay on topic. She's like,
Yeah.
"Do you have ADHD or something?" And I was like,
Wait
"I
a minute.
do. I do have ADHD." And then like everything just clicked.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh,
That's right.
okay. And then like as an adult, I started becoming more myself.
Yeah.
Started breaking out of like that mask, and then just started just being myself into like my late 20s, where I'm like, all right, I'm completely me. I don't want to hang out with anyone that I have the mask with.
Good for you. I would say I'm not completely me yet, to the eyes of the world, but I'm getting there. And getting this diagnosis has just really opened up the possibility for that to happen. And I am so excited just for
I will say
to continue to unmask.
I will say when talking with you, because like I know you professionally.
Yeah.
And then I see when I talk to you, like usually when me and you talk, it's usually pretty genuine, which is something I always like appreciate about you. But when we get you out of the professional side of things, you're like a whole new like person. And
100%. I hear that all the time. You're not the first to tell me that. Yep. Yep. Wearing that mask for sure.
So you're in your current company, pretty high position.
Yep.
And we don't have to be into specifics. I don't like to get too into specifics of like professions.
Sure.
But I do. So I had an office job for a while, and I struggled. I couldn't do it. I could not sit behind a desk for hours on days to work on a task because just the executive functioning skills. Just like if I didn't want to do it, my brain's not doing it.
Yeah.
For everyone who has ADHD out there, how do you do it? Because I'm like, I see you and I see you like succeeding, killing it. I'm like, how do you do it?
Yeah, so I think for me, the ticket first was getting that diagnosis and understanding that there was a reason why I was struggling beyond me being lazy or unmotivated.
Yeah.
So getting that diagnosis came supports, and it came me doing research and understanding what supports might be beneficial to help me thrive in the workplace. With my current job, it's something that I studied for because it was fascinating to me. And so I think having that fascination in my job has really helped me thrive because I'm doing something that I just love to do. But that's not to say that I do not struggle. I struggle every day. Work really wears me down. But one thing that was recommended to me when I was going through my psych eval, I'm actually also diagnosed with executive function deficit. It was so apparent in my diagnosis that they diagnosed me separately. So with ADHD, as you know, oftentimes executive function is impacted, or it is impacted. But they gave me that second diagnosis, and they noticed that when I was going through the testing, I would burn out really quickly. So I would perform well when I could perform well, but then I would just burn out, and then I would start getting very, very sloppy in my work. And so they recommended that I do 25 minutes of work, 5-minute break, 25 minutes of work, 5-minute break. So that's something that I try to employ when I'm at work. But what's hard for me to do is to remember to actually do these things that are supposed to be beneficial to me. I have a big old bucket of fidgets on my desk that I'll fidget with that helps me regulate myself. I use noise canceling headphones at work to kind of block out and drone out extra noise. So there's a lot of accommodations that I've been able to kind of put in for myself to help me be successful. But I will say that I am a firm believer that my ADHD brain has got me to where I am in life because I've done all of this without medication. Yeah. And so I think if it weren't for my impulsiveness, I'm very quick to make decisions. My creativity, my search for just like new and novel things, I wouldn't be as successful. So I like to think that my ADHD almost helps me in that sense too.
Yeah, I do like agree with that as well.
Yeah,
I know there's some pushback that is like, no, it's a disability.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it is, but there is some pros to it.
Yeah. Hey, I heard entrepreneurs, like more often than not, they have that diagnosis of ADHD
Yeah.
where we're always chasing the dragon. We don't settle.
We're always creating businesses.
We're always creating businesses.
Or nonprofits
and,
or
yeah.
podcast shows.
Yeah, trying out for a lead in a play, never fulfilled, but always fulfilled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is Emily Johnson of MN Neurodivergent.
You got it.
Got it this time.
Woo!
All right. It only took 5 tries.
That's all right. Fifth time's the charm.
You can find her and Neurodivergent
There you
on
go.
Facebook
2 for
and
2.
what's the other app?
Meetup.
At Meetup.
Yes.
All right, you can find her there. If you're oh my god, can you say it, please? I cannot.
Neurodivergent.
Yes.
Yes.
If you are that, please find the site. Meet up with locals around Minnesota. Get to know the group and get to know Emily. And yeah, this is your host, Jake Sherby, and Don't Involve Me. I do not have a great outro yet. I am working on that skill. All right,
You'll get there.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks, Emily.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, for sure.